overriding their records from three, plus the contagious impact of that incredible ball movement. And Portland, they are undermanned, but they are also very much under pressure. Portland in must-win mode right now as April is winding down, and we welcome you inside the Valley Sports Studios. I am Jeannie Zalasko. We have Corey McGatty. We have Don McClain.
Oh,
why does Corey have a jacket on tonight? What's going on?
Don, I want to, you know what? I just wanted to match you tonight. Since you were here, you had, you know,
okay, that's like the first time all season.
This is second, remember?
Jacket.
Remember, this is second jacket.
It's the game face jacket, because this stuff is getting serious right now. A little bit of serious news to pass along as Kawhi Leonard is going to be taking a seat for about a week. They're just being very cautious with that sore right foot. He will be reevaluated. When we know more, you will know more. What we do know is that your Clippers and the Portland Trail Blazers are going to meet for the third and final time here in the regular season. Emphasis on regular season, because this has a little bit of a playoff look to it as we look down the road.
Close, I would say.
Matchup potential?
Yeah, matchup potential. But, you know, honestly, if you're looking at the Portland Trail Blazers and the Clippers, there's no matchup. If you look at what they've done, their body of work playing this team, the Portland Trail Blazers, they don't have an answer for the Clippers. And, you know, if you look at this play, I'm banking on, Don. I'm banking on that the Clippers will be in the 2 seed. That's what I'm banking on.
Well, Corey, it depends on what they want. You know, we've seen this in the last few years where teams, I'm not saying they try and lose, but they're not really that interested in
you're
winning.
Saying that. You're saying it.
To get the matchup that they want in the playoffs. And I think Portland's a great matchup for the Clippers. So you wonder if they're going to expend a lot of energy using guys down the stretch to try and get to that 2-hole. Yeah, I think they're going to watch what Portland does and try and match that. Who knows? They may even fall to the 4 seed, the Clippers, if that first round 5 seed would be a better matchup.
Of course, the big gamble is the play-in, the bottom half of the seeding, so you can't even figure out. It's going to be a guess as to who you're going to play. So we try to look at stuff like strength of schedule, Don McClain. Clippers have a pretty good run at it here. Portland, not so much. What's jumping out at you?
Well, I just think that the Clippers, again, with that, knowing that your schedule isn't that tough, you know, you can rest some guys. Load management probably comes into play because you're such a deep roster that you can win games against the lower echelon teams in the league without some of your heavy minute guys. So it's going to be fascinating to watch these last 13 games, Corey, what the Clippers really try and do. Do they try and get a higher seed? Do they stay where they're at? Do they fall a little bit because it's a better matchup? I think it's going to be very interesting.
And because they're at the 22nd, if you look at their strength of schedule, this is a great time that Coach Ty Lue can really start to implement some of those players, the younger talent, to give them more game experience, because you're looking that you might need them more in the playoffs. So hopefully you get a chance to rest, like you said, Kawhi and Paul, where you don't get too much of a drop-off where they drop to that 3rd or 4th hole. But I just really believe, because they have such great chemistry right now, Don, the continuity is there, the players off the bench are playing great, that they can actually sneak into this second
This team, no doubt, Corey, and again, just to finish this point, even without like Kawhi or PG one night, this team's good enough to beat the lower echelon team. So they really kind of control the schedule the rest of the way, how they want to control it.
Control the game the other night as the fans made their way back into Staples Center. That was pretty cool. For the 3rd time this season, we watched the Clippers toss up 20-plus threes and hit them as well. It has been fun to watch this run at history, Don. You know, at first it seemed kind of cool. Now as they're getting closer to it, are you getting a better vibe that this might actually come to fruition?
Well, I feel like we've talked about this since the first game. Like the ball movement, when it's there, it's obvious. It jumps off the page. And when you have a roster loaded with guys that can make threes, guys are having career years from behind the three-point line. Why? Because they're more open because of the ball movement. Guys are literally teeing up threes in the corners, on the wings, and the slot. And it's because of the ball movement that they have good, clean looks. They get in rhythm, and it's just contagious. And I think now that we're this deep into the season, Corey, it's becoming more of a habit. Like we saw it in flashes at the beginning, in the middle of the year. Now that we're at the end, this Clipper team completely understands how they need to play on offense, and now they're really executing and perfecting that.
And Don, do you remember back when you lived by the three, you died by the three?
Yeah.
When you talk, if you go back a couple of years when the Houston Rockets, they wanted to get up a lot of threes. If they were good shots or they were bad shots. And the reason the Clippers are thriving so much off the three-point shot, because they're passing up good shots for great shots every single time. And then you have your two superstars that are playing downhill. They're trying to attack the basket, and if they're not open at the basket, it's wide open shots for Marcus Morris in the corner, for Reggie Jackson making threes, for Nicholas Batum making threes. And even the way Paul George, he has the ability above anyone else on that team to go one-on-one and still shoot those tough threes that makes them such a sensational three-point shooting team.
But the difference, Corey, between the Rockets with Harden and this team is it was one guy with the Rockets, so you could stay attached to the shooters. Now, to your point, what you just said, you got PG and Kawhi attacking the paint and the other guards attacking the paint. It brings in defenders, and guys are wide open on the perimeter for that one more pass. You kick it out, one more, guys wide open for a clean look.
Yeah, Reggie Jackson walked away from the game the other night, said, you know, the basketball felt small, the hoop seemed big. He used the same word you used, on contagious. Is that what you felt as well as we watched the ball moving? And not just the movement, but the assists? The numbers are on the rise again.
Yeah, the numbers have been great. You go ahead, Don. The numbers have been great.
Well, the thing is, you don't want to be the guy that's not passing, right? When it becomes that and everybody's making the extra pass, passing up good shots for great shots, as you said, Corey, you don't want to be the guy that's taking contested shots. You're going to keep moving it, and that's why I say they've gotten better at this as the season's gone on. I think Rondo is a big help in this department in terms of managing that and getting guys where they want it. But it's really just unselfish basketball and giving of yourself for the betterment of the team. And it was on full display. Yeah, it was the T-Wolves, but even still, like, to watch it, you're like, wow, they are really, really playing the right way.
And Don, what impressed me about it is just the way they're passing up good shots for great shots. So if a guy like Marcus Morris hits 2 threes in a row, he passes up that third shot to maybe get Patrick Patterson open a shot, or Terrence Mann an open look, or Reggie Jackson. And that just shows how selfless this team is, which allows them to continue to have great ball movement and have numbers over 30 assists a game and shoot at over 50% the last game from the three-point line. It's just great, unselfish basketball.
All right, gentlemen, facts and evidence here. You just talked them up. So here's our CarMax Call Your Shot. The Clippers, 30-plus assists in 4 of their last 6 games. Will they have 30-plus tonight, Corey?
I said no. I said 28.
You've been on a downward spiral of late, so you're sticking with no.
Know,
Your final answer.
You know, Don is back, so I might have. What you got, Don? Oh, Don, you said no. You said yes?
I said yes.
Okay.
Why would it change? Portland's not a good defensive team. I'm not sure why anything would change tonight. Kawhi hasn't been in the lineup, and they've been knocking down threes, and Reggie Jackson's elevated his play. I don't see why there wouldn't be 30 assists tonight.
We'll see.
You're sticking with your answer. All right, we got a good one. Paul George the other night, 5 assists? He was a part of it as well. We also saw his streak of 30-plus points scored in a game come to an end. But interestingly enough, Corey, this all started for PG versus Portland a few weeks back. He's got some really good numbers versus this Portland team. 22 points in that first quarter.
Well, first of all, the streak of that 30 points is because he had a chance to rest. He played under 28 minutes a game, and you would take that more than just shooting threes. But the way Paul George continues to score the basketball, I mean, I love this phrase for him, I'mAscoreYou.com, because it's very similar.
Noticed.
It's because whenever he gets the basketball, he's a walking bucket. He's just going to walk himself on the court, and he's going to score the basketball every single time. And he's playing so confident. Like we were actually a little scared and nervous, I would say, because he had a toe injury, Don. But the way Paul George has mentally, and he said it, mentally got himself ready for games, there's no excuse, and he's really really showing everyone up.
So much of this game is mental, whether you're talking about confidence or understanding of the game. And Paul, even superstar players like Paul George sometimes need the mental part to come through. You know, the toe, is it still bothering him? We don't know, probably. But if you put it to the side and say, I'm not going to let it hinder my game the rest of the season, he is in a great place mentally, and I don't see any reason why that's not going to continue.
All right, get your
Did you
focus on.
like my walk?
I like
tried to trot my way.
Camera did
I tried
not
to
like
walk
your
really
walk.
down.
You went headless there for a minute. Don, Corey, Mike Fratello. Yeah, it's the three-man weave. Going to break down the Norman Powell experiment and why this matchup favors the Clippers over the long haul. Stay with us. Level, we say that all the time. Next level Kawhi. We've seen it so much in April. What does that actually mean, Corey?
Do we get sick of talking about Kawhi?
Never.
But I don't. You know
No.
why? Because he's such a special player. And when you get a chance to watch Kawhi Leonard, you know there's something different about him. And we look at some of these plays on how Kawhi Leonard
show the
stands.
dunks. Please show the dunks.
Like right here, Kawhi Leonard, he's on a different level. He takes his time. Michael Porter Jr. right here, he just blows right past him because he understands the footwork. The next play down, Kawhi takes his time, and this is just great recognition of understanding a sweep dribble and then an explosion right to the rim. Another awesome play by Kawhi. This right here, you know, I baptize you in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Just put him in the basket.
Amen.
You know what? I love that play by Kawhi. And the last few games, when you watch the way he's playing with more force. Why is Kawhi playing with more force? It's because he's starting to get healthy. His conditioning is there. He's not going to say much. He is the fun guy, but he's going to say everything on a basketball court.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Terrence Mann, who has earned every single second he has received on the court. Some of the minutes cut back as guys get healthy and bigger names roll onto the team per se. But besides the minutes, we have watched Terrence take over that second unit. And he's 24 years old. He's infusing his style of play. How is he pulling this off?
Well, you know what? Let's take a step back. Back in the bubble when Terrence Mann almost had a triple-double. And you would expect that you would earn more minutes from your coach. He didn't earn more minutes. So what did he do the next season? He went in his gym. He put in a lot of work. He watched a lot of film. Some of the things that he needed to tweak was to be a better three-point shooter. And not just be a better three-point shooter. You can need to shoot the ball with confidence. And he started to get more confidence because he put in the work. Now he started to understand how to be a better point guard. The only way you can be a better point guard in this league is by breaking down film. You are an extension of the coach. Now, right here, he takes his time, uses the crossover dribble. Again, last season, he probably would have took that shot. But because of that vision, he saw Nicholas Batum. The next play, right when he gets the basketball, he's off to the races in transition. Sometimes as a young player, you can attack and take it on your own, but he makes the smart play to get it to Marcus Morris Sr. The next play right here. Right away, he makes the quick dish to Patrick Patterson. So, again, for Terrence Mann, it's the game is really starting to slow down. And when the game slows down, like you're in slow motion, you're able to see everything on the floor. And that's the special thing about what he's doing as a player.
Certainly gives that second unit a completely different look. All right, speaking of different looks, how would you like Ty Lue's job this season? Condensed, trying to get every game in they can because of the pandemic, NBA rolling out so many games in a week, and then you have Ty Lue who's looking down the bench and he's missing this starter and that starter and this guy off the bench. What can we say about his flexibility and adaptability and the success we've seen?
I wonder how flexible Ty Lue really is. But again,
I don't want to find out if it's much more.
Yeah, but you know what? This is one of the reasons why I wanted to highlight Coach Ty Lue. Because of this season, you have so many guys in and out of the lineup. As a coach, you have to learn and do things on the fly. You have to trust your medical staff, and they have a great medical staff there. The Director of Medical Service, Mr. Jason Powell. So they do a good job of understanding when players need their rest. And Coach Lue has done such a great job of weathering the storm, despite what's happening. Some days it's raining, it's storming, it's hailing, and he finds a way to get the right combination of players to come in a game and to compete.
How much of that is in his gut? Where he just looks around and he's like, nope, I'm going with Luke Kennard.
You know what? Basketball is about a gut feel sometimes. But for Ty Lue, you got to have a gut feeling on what players that you need to insert in that game. And that's only by even Coach Ty Lue watching film as a coach. You know, his mentors, Doc Rivers, and you pull back all his mentors from the past of understand how to handle those situations, and he's done a great job of doing it.
What has he unleashed in Paul George?
You're saying to me, how bad was it? Well, Chad, it was not good. Let's just put it that way. Their three best players were out. The Blazers, the most troubling aspect, they did not come out ready to play. And that's a real indictment, I think. And it really, I think, caused a lot of, I think, questions about the team, the attitude of the team, and where this team is at this point of the season.
What do you think is the cause of the slow starts? Because now in the last couple of weeks, we saw them give up 47 points in the first quarter to the Clippers, and now 44 to the Hornets with all their key players out.
Well, Chad, I just don't know if they're mentally ready to come out and play at the start. That's what it would seem like. I mean, when you see those kinds of starts, you can say, well, they shot well, we didn't. You can make all that up if you want. The fact was, all the energy was on one side of the court. There was not a lot of energy with the Blazers. And I think you've got to come out ready to go. You've got to come out with that supreme effort at the start. If you do that, you may not need to have it at the end. But if you don't come out with it at the start, you're going to need it all night.
Who lights that fire? Is that on the players? Is it coaching? Is it a combination? How does that start, that activation, to make sure guys are ready to roll?
I think it's both, Chad, but I think primarily it has to come from players. This is not college ball. This is not some movie where the coach goes in and gives a big pep talk before the game. They play too many games for that. You have to get yourself ready. And it's pretty obvious here lately they haven't gotten ready for some of these games.
All right, Godfather, one of the biggest questions following the loss to Charlotte Sunday was, why the heck did Derrick Jones Jr. not play, and yet Rondé Hollis-Jefferson on a 10-day contract got the start? What is up with that?
Well, they obviously wanted to look at Hollis-Jefferson to find out if they should, sign him for the rest of the season. He's on his second 10-day. They have a decision to make on him. And I think they wanted to get a good long look and see where he was. This is a guy who hasn't played a game all season until he came here. So they wanted to do that, and then they also wanted to get Nasir Little playing time behind him. So Jones got lost in the shuffle. But I think it didn't come out well at the end, and I don't think the coach explained his motivation very well after the game, and it caused him some trouble, Chad.
Is there any issue going on between Derrick Jones Jr. and the coach that would lead to this, or is it strictly about wanting to get a look at Rondé?
Well, when the coach says, I don't want to say anything disparaging about Derrick Jones Jr., it sounds like if he were to try to say anything at all, it would be disparaging. I didn't like that tack that he took. And tonight, Derrick Jones Jr. is in the starting lineup. And he almost has to start him. Because if he doesn't, it looks like maybe Derrick Jones Jr. is in the doghouse. So I think we knew that Derrick would be starting tonight.
All right. Well, one of the reasons for that is the injuries. Let's take a look at the injury report. Look at this. Some big names there, Godfather. Dame is out with the hamstring. Nurk with injury management. And for the Clippers, Kawhi, Patrick Beverley, and Serge Ibaka.
Well, and when you look at that list, look at those three Clipper players. Okay, you look at Leonard, Beverley, Ibaka. What do they have in common? They're all very good defenders, particularly Ibaka and Kawhi Leonard. Beverley used to be, maybe not so much anymore, but still, those are three of their better defenders, and really, I think it opens the door for better offense tonight for the Trailblazers.
Now, Nurk has looked pretty good over the last week. He's just going to be out tonight because they're continuing to monitor his body. They just want to make sure he stays healthy between now and the end of the year. Is that correct?
Well, that's the suspicion, Chad, is they just don't want him playing back-to-back games, and I think they'd rather have him, if they had to pick these two, they'd rather have him tomorrow night against Jokic instead of tonight against the Clippers.
All right, with Dame, he's going to be out tonight. There's no update on his injury, so we don't know what that means for tomorrow yet, but Is the hamstring a problem, or are they just taking an opportunity to rest him so he can be at full strength down the stretch?
Chad, my opinion of that is they have never shown any inclination at all to rest players when they're healthy. In fact, Terry Stotts is on record as saying he won't do that. If a player is healthy enough to play, he plays him. So the only thing I can assume is that he is in pain, he is hurt, and they're going to keep him out until he's not hurt. And I think that's a great idea. But it also leads to that argument that you love to have on the radio, that is, why not load management him, and then you can at least pick the games that he won't play in, right?
Well, that's what it's all about, at least through my eyes, Dwight, because this injury's from overuse. He plays big minutes, stressful minutes, and does so much for this franchise that if you would have taken the proactive approach to set up a plan to load manage, I can't help but wonder if he would be healthy right now.
Yeah, we can never really answer that question, but what I would say right now, do not come back until you're right. Don't come back too soon. That's when you re-injure things. Make sure that you're healthy before you get back. Then you're going to have a healthy Damian Lillard down the stretch of the season. That's a very good thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And you're right about the hamstring, Dwight. You don't want to mess around with that. It's one of those things for a basketball player. You've seen this time and time again. You get out there, you think you're good, and then boom, you aggravate and you just continue to perpetuate the problem.
Yeah, that's like a calf strain, one of those kind of injuries, soft tissue, where you don't really know. You're starting to think you're feeling pretty good, and they have equipment to test all that. I think they have a pretty good idea of where he is, so I think it's important not to rush him back.
All right, we'll keep things rolling here on warm-up tip-off with the Blazers. All right, Godfather, when you're looking for reasons for optimism the rest of the way for the Blazers, I think Norman Powell's a great place to start. I've had a chance to watch him game in and game out since the trade with Toronto. I'll tell you what, I like what he brings to the table, and he continues to get better in a Trailblazer uniform.
Yeah, you know, he made that statement on any given night that three-guard lineup could go off. Tonight would be a good given night for that to happen. They need that. They need scoring from all of their guards tonight. And whether that's Anthony Simons off the bench, whoever helping the two starters. But it's very important that they have a big offensive game tonight. They're going to need all the points they can get.
And don't you think a player like Powell in a game like tonight, who's no nonsense, who works hard, and he's going to go out there and compete, he's the type of guy that could really help get this team over the hump in a tough spot that they're in tonight.
Yeah, I think he's capable of making big plays, game-winning plays at both ends of the floor. And that makes him a unique player, especially here. You know, they don't have a lot of two-way guards. He is that. He can play at both ends of the court.
All right, Dwight, optimism reason number two. As you mentioned before, Dame, we've never seen him get this type of rest at this stage of the season. When he does come back from the hamstring injury, it won't just be the hamstring that's better, but all these other ailments that he's dealt with throughout the year, you would think he would feel fresh and have better legs.
Well, that's what you're looking for. And I think not only that, Chad, he's been sitting on the sidelines watching other teams play too. He sees what Curry is doing in Golden State. And I'm sure there's still that inner rivalry he has with Curry. And I think he'll come back ready to put up some big numbers that we haven't seen from him in a while. And they need him at his best, no question about it.
And the offense, which has taken a turn for the worse of late because of the defense he's faced and with the injuries. You know what it's like with jump shooters, Godfather. You get those legs fresh, more energy. You can go out there and really be yourself again.
No question, Chad. And he just needs a little room to get his shot off. And I'm hoping they can deal with those double teams, those blitzes, a little better when he comes back. He just needs a little more room and he'll be fine. And they need the all-star Dame down the stretch of this season.
Well, one thing that can be overlooked, of course, is Yusuf Nurkic, who will not play tonight, but he's back, he's playing, and I think over the last couple of weeks he's looked pretty good and obviously effective because he can pepper the stat sheet, and you know this, he finds different ways to impact the game even if he's not scoring.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him back tomorrow because he always plays better against Denver,
Yes.
You know, the team that traded him away. And I think he plays better with a little chip on his shoulder, a little anger to him. He seems to be better in that kind of spot, a little more motivation. And I think the angry Nurk is the best Nurk. That's what we need to see.
The only real question I have with Nurk is why does he continue to finish at just under 50%? You would think a guy of that size who's playing that close to the rim, he'd have his field goal percentage up there around 60. What can he do to finish at a higher rate?
Well, Chad, I think he's just a little bit careless. He's just a little too casual with some of his shots at times. He sort of flips the ball. He's got to finish strong. We have to see more dunks from him, more power moves, go up strong, draw the foul and finish. You know, a lot of times he just kind of bails out on the shot a little bit and flips it or hooks it or something. He's got to be tougher than that.
All right, time for upcoming matchups, Godfather. It's presented by A. When you're ready, we're ready. Let's A. just off I-5 at exit 16. And as you mentioned with this stretch, check it out. You got a big week. Clippers, Nuggets, back-to-back at home. Friday and Sunday at home against Memphis. And then you take off on a 6-game road trip. You're right. This is the key stretch now. The 4 home games, the 6-game road trip. We're going to find out a lot about this group over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing some very important games over the next 2 or 3 weeks, really. But these first 4, I'll tell you what, you got to get at least 2 out of the 4. You just have to, or you're in danger of starting to really kind of plummet down the standings. If they can get 3 or 4, then that kind of changes everything. All of a sudden, the narrative is different. They have been strong down the stretch of seasons many times, and they just need to get that going again and build some momentum and carry it forward.
How much of a concern is there that if they don't get back on track quick, that things could really turn sideways in a hurry?
Oh, they could, Chad. We just haven't seen that happen a lot, but I've seen it happen with teams that are kind of just coming apart a little bit. Maybe the coach has lost a little control, or they're not listening, or just the motivation isn't there. And I don't know what's going on with his team, but watching them over the last week and a half or 2 weeks, you wonder what kind of motivation it has. But it better find some motivation really quick, because this thing is winding down. They got 16 games left. That's not a lot, and they better start thinking of winning most of them, or they're in danger of losing their seeding and their positioning.
All right, let's take a look at the standings in the Western Conference and the all-important race for the 6th seed, Godfather. Portland right now 2 games behind L.A., the Lakers, who are in 5th, 2 games in front of Dallas, who's in 7th, and as you've said, the goal all year long is to stay somewhere in the top 6 so you can avoid the play-in.
Absolutely. They don't want any part of that play-in. That's a brutal situation. They have a 2-game lead over Dallas. Look, that could go real fast when you look at that schedule this week. Now, the good thing for Portland is Dallas isn't playing very well either. Lost at home to Sacramento the other night. I would say that I'm kind of surprised Dallas isn't making a big run at them in that spot. But so far they're not. And I don't know what's going on with that team, but I don't know what's going on with this team either.
You think the team is looking and paying close attention to the standings right now, or is that something that will happen as we get a few weeks down the road?
No, they've got to be looking now. They have to be wondering. They have to be very aware of where they sit and the jeopardy that they're in if they can't turn this thing around a little bit, start winning more than.
What do you think the Blazers need to do to slow him down?
Well, at least they don't have to worry about guarding Kawhi also. They can kind of settle in. I think Covington will get him. Robert does a good job on people. But still, without Kawhi in the lineup, I got to go over on Paul George. He's going to be in the 30s tonight. And he's on a pretty good run, and he's been able to give the Blazers some points on several occasions.
Well, it's got to be easy whether you're Kawhi or Paul George. When one is out getting some rest, they're used to being the #1 option, right? They can handle the load and be able to lead their team.
Well, and look, it's Paul George, and it's not the playoffs, so he'll score.
Sorry. Next up in our storylines, C.J. McCollum, 22 points on 22 shots Sunday. He needs to be better, more effective, and efficient tonight. His total at 25.5. What's going to be the key for CJ to be effective and efficient tonight?
Well, I like CJ tonight because he is known for, if he has a bad shooting game, he usually bounces back right away and has a good shooting game. He's just too good of a percentage shooter to let that poor percentage hang out there for very long. friendly gym, Chad. You get home, you're shooting on your own baskets. It's a little bit easier. I think he'll be fine tonight.
All right, Enes Kanter going to get the start tonight in place of Nurk, who's out with the injury management. His total rebounds set at 12.5. I mean, is there any doubt that he's not going to walk away with 20 rebounds tonight? The guy's crazy. He's awesome.
Well, it's just one of those things. It's like with Dame, I always go over on the points. With Ennis, I'll always go over on the rebounds this year. He's just having that kind of year rebounding-wise. If he's starting and getting lots of minutes, he'll get up there into the mid-teens probably.
But he's the type of player that could spark them tonight, right? With the way he's played of late, his energy, especially in the offensive glass. Maybe that's something that his teammates need right now, a little bit of the Turkish warrior to spark them.
Well, if you're not going to shoot well, he's the best guy in the world to have on your team.